All right, welcome everyone to the 2020 Virtual Eco Tour. This year we are so pleased to have Solatube International and Waste Management as our guests. I just have a couple of Zoom requests. One is that you please keep your microphone muted for the presentation. We will have question and answers after each tour. So at that time, you'll be able to unmute yourself to ask questions, but you can also type in questions during the presentation, and we will get to those questions again at the end of each tour. I also ask that you put your computers in speaker view so you can get the full effect of the presentation and see the speaker. And with that, I'm going to introduce Neil Diegert with Solatube. Neil, welcome.
There, unmute myself, that's even better. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us here at Solatube today. I'm very excited to welcome you to Solatube and to introduce you to what it is that we do. So very quickly, before we jump into the actual presentation, let me tell you a little bit about Solatube. Solatube International.
Neil, we lost you.
All right, so I think I'm back. Sorry.
Okay, perfect.
I am Neil Diegert. I'm Vice President of Solatube International, and Solatube International innovated what is termed the tubular daylighting device back in 1987. It is a whole new product category in the fenestration industry, so doors and windows. And the company moved its world headquarters here to North County, San Diego in 1992. So we've called Carlsbad and Vista home since 1992. Today we have a campus here in North County where we manufacture products for daylighting, as well as home ventilation for worldwide consumption. We're in 122 countries around the world, and everything comes out of the North County campus. So from IP to product development, as well as manufacturing of all products. So it's a pretty exciting place. We do a lot of fun things. And even better yet is we are an energy efficient, eco-friendly and sustainable company. We produce a broad range of products and product families that are really geared to making buildings healthier, better environments for people. And obviously our core focus is going to be daylight. So today we're really going to talk about our daylighting products and specifically the tubular daylighting devices. So we're really, again, excited to have you with us today, and we look forward to giving you a little bit of a brief glimpse into what we are about. So very quickly, our agenda is we're going to run through, kind of share with you a whole bunch of videos today, because since we're virtual, we weren't quite sure what sort of bandwidth we were going to have for physical tours walking around the space. So we've broken it up into little snippets that hopefully will run pretty smoothly today. So we'll start off with looking at just an overview of what the Solatube products are about. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the health impacts of daylight. Why do we need daylight in our lives? Why is it so important in our work and home environments? Then you're going to learn a little bit more about Solatube International headquarters, how we apply sustainable products and sustainable living to everyday life today. You'll also get a glimpse into Solatube Home, and that is one of our companies or entities within the Solatube family that provides products to you as a homeowner. How do you get product and daylight into your homes? And then we'll talk about manufacturing. So you'll get a very quick video of our warehouse, actually shipping and receiving, and then learn about lean manufacturing and how we actually produce our products here in North County. We'll follow up or end with a Q&A session with a round table. and hopefully we can enlighten you a bit today. So with that, let's start with the Solatube technology.
It's the start of a new day, one where you want to spark creativity, maximize productivity, and provide an environment that inspires everyone in it. Perhaps the best known way is by using daylighting to bring outside light in. At Solatube, we make this happen every day across the globe by pioneering industry-leading tubular daylighting technologies that bring natural light to places that were previously unimaginable. Technologies that have changed the game in daylighting, from volatile lighting methods beholden to the sun's position and a building site's orientation, to an energy-efficient top lighting approach that harvests a consistent source of daylight throughout the day and the year. Technologies that use patented optical lenses and reflectors that capture sunlight from virtually any angle, including low angles in the early morning, late day, winter months, and northern climates. Our technologies then transfer the captured light through modular tubes made of the world's most reflective material, with the ability to carry brilliant light through multiple stories. Ultimately, these technologies deliver the light beautifully, always maintaining light levels, intensity, and color, whether providing ambient lighting for offices, schools, or high-volume areas, or using task lighting to create visual focus, provide grow lighting, and even deliver light underground, or bringing out architectural brilliance with unique accent lighting, from wall washes to spot lighting, decorative, theatrical, and environment lighting. Whatever designs you can think up, Solatube can provide a solution. At Solatube, we provide the most comprehensive tubular daylighting product lines available to deliver these benefits. Everywhere from the tightest corridor to a sizable classroom or the largest sports arena. With these systems comes unrivaled control of your daylighting environment, from 0 to 10 volt dimming integration to match your changing lighting needs throughout the day, to total thermal regulation, minimizing daylighting's impact on the thermal envelope of the building, and potentially reducing its HVAC loads. What does this all mean? With Solatube, you have unequaled technologies for delivering the greatest amount of light with the lowest thermal impact, making Solatube the undisputed industry leader in efficiently harvesting daylight. Solatube continually leads the industry in meeting and exceeding standards across the board, including anti-terrorism and high-velocity hurricane zone requirements. Solatube is the only tubular daylighting company to provide complete consultation from design through installation, with industry-leading daylighting consultants, as well as proprietary software to accurately model your daylighting design to ensure it meets your performance goals. This formula of brilliant technologies paired with exceptional consultation is what has led to widespread success across a range of applications on nearly every continent. At Solatube, we believe daylighting is a human right. We're passionate and diligent about delivering the industry's best daylighting products and service for one simple reason. We care deeply about people being able to work, learn, and connect in natural light. So let Solatube help create bright, beautiful environments where people love to work and learn, where they feel their best and can accomplish the most, where they can truly shine. Have a project you think could benefit from Solatube daylighting? Give us a call to schedule a custom consultation.
Great. So there is just kind of a quick overview and kind of shows you how we go to market, especially to architects and engineers specifically. But the fun thing is that daylight is really important in today's environment, where we're concerned with environmental sensitivity and sustainability, as well as creating healthy environments. One of the most important things that we can do today to have the biggest impact on our environment is to apply daylight. So we really need to think about how we can get proper dosage of daylight for our bodies throughout the day. Next slide, please, Linda. So very quickly also, I just want to set the stage on or at least define some terms. So we all talk about daylight. And what is daylight? Daylight actually is the resource. And so daylight is light, whether it be from the sun or what we would term the solar disk, or from the diffuse sky. So two different components that make up the daylight resource. And obviously the amount of resource as well as the directionality of light is really dependent upon what's happening over the course of the day and sky conditions, solar positions, and it's constantly varying, which is really important for us as biological beings. So that's the resource, that's daylight. Daylighting is really the artful application of daylight. So how we use that resource, whether it's from light from the sky or the sun, to illuminate architecture and to reveal architecture and architectural spaces in a meaningful way for us as human beings. We can be lighting the space for task illuminance, so making sure we have enough light to see what we're trying to do, whether we're cooking in the kitchen, reading papers, what have you, or whether we are revealing the architecture in a way that defines how we interact with architecture. What do we see first? How do we interact with the building itself and with people within that environment? Light, and specifically daylight, can do this in a very unique way. Next slide, please, Linda. Also, if we talk about the electromagnetic spectrum, so when we look at all the energy that comes to us on the surface of the Earth from the sun, visible light, so the light that we actually use to see, and the wavelengths that actually drive our body biochemically are actually a very narrow set of wavelengths, typically defined in wavelengths of what we would term nanometers, and ranges from 380 to 780 nanometers. But as we get older, as adults, we actually our visible range tightens to about 400 to 700 nanometers is kind of what we see. Next slide, please. And then relative to daylight, obviously we're surrounded by daylight every day. And daylight specifically, so the progression from dark to light, and then the spectral content of daylight, which is constantly changing over the course of the day, largely regulates our sleep and wake cycles and defines or determines how and when we produce certain hormones and neurotransmitters over the course of the day. So it really defines how we function. So we have new terms that you hear every day: chronobiology, photobiology, and a new term, which is chronospectral dosage. And that's what's really most important today, is how and when we get exposed to certain wavelengths of light. And that actually determines how and when we produce certain neurotransmitters and hormones. Next slide, please. So in the past, we were surrounded by daylight. We would wake up with daylight. We'd go to sleep when daylight started to wane. But with the advent of the electric light source, that totally changed. So today we can beautifully illuminate interior spaces with electric light. Electric light does not drive our bodies in the same way that daylight does. So our dosage of daylight has drastically changed. And that has led to some significant health issues for the modern society. And it's only recently that we've discovered why daylight is so important to keep people healthier and happier. Next slide, please. So we can provide beautiful illumination with daylight. Daylight is the reference light source by which all electric lighting equipment is compared. Also, it creates healthier environments, so it keeps us mentally engaged. The subtle variations in intensity and color of daylight actually keeps our brains awake. We are visual beings. 80% of our brains are devoted to visual processing. So when we have this dynamic light source in an environment, it truly does make us happier, and it certainly does make us healthier. Next slide, please. So it affects our alertness, our growth and development cycles, our neurological function, our immunological function. And so again, the patterns of light to dark and the subtle color shifts throughout the day are important. By day, we have certain neurotransmitters that are turned on, and by night, we have different neurotransmitters that are turned on. So when we talk about the fact that we feel happy and healthy in daylight, or we're happier in daylight, There's a reason for that. The blue rich daylight that we have in mid-morning actually turns on certain neurotransmitters that create happiness. They improve our moods. So that's why we need that early morning or midday dosage of daylight. So light truly is a drug. Next slide, please. And certainly, again, when we have daylight in our environments, it affects or improves how our bodies function and keeps us entrained in the 24-hour clock. All right, thank you. So how we see light then is that we see light through two visual cells in the retina, the rods and the cones, and that defines then how we have visual acuity. But the question has always been, how do we feel light? Because, you know, light has a unique effect on our bodies. So what we recently learned, next slide please, Linda, is that we have a unique set of cells in the retina, what we term the intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, or IPRGCs, that have a direct link to the human endocrine system. So while they aid in human vision and processing information for the visual cortex, they also have a direct link to the hypothalamus and actually start to define how our brains produce neurotransmitters. And these cells have a very unique spectral sensitivity. So it's definitely shifted to the blue end of the visible spectrum. So we define the circadian lumen or circadian illumination differently than what we use to read and write. Next slide, please. And then if we look at daylight, daylight is that back band. We see that daylight always has a robust set of visible wavelengths. Very strong, regardless of whether it's an overcast day or a bright sunny day, we have a full spectrum light source. And then electric light sources, the ones in the foreground, as we can see, are very different. And so when we start to overlap the need for circadian illumination, so that response curve of the IPRGCs with daylight, we see that daylight truly will drive our bodies very uniquely. Next slide, please. Okay, that's a quick overview of the importance of daylight. Now, what I'd like to do is introduce you to Solatube and our headquarters. So we work under daylight every day. Our building is fully day lit. Our electric lights are on only 3% of the occupied year. And so I'd like to show you just some fun applications of daylight here in the Solatube world. And then we'll talk about how you might be able to improve your environment, whether it's your office environment or home environment, to make us all happier and healthier.
Good morning, and welcome to Solatube International. I'm Neil Diker, Vice President of Solatube, and welcome to our world headquarters. So we are a daylighting company. We invented the tubular daylighting device, and everything that you see behind me is daylight. No electric lights on in this building whatsoever. Also, I would like to point out different forms of the product. We can do very fun things with it. So here we have a creative application of daylight chandeliers. To your left, you will see our largest Solatube product, the Skyvault. So as you know, we manufacture a broad range of product sizes that allow us to add daylight to virtually any building type or space type. Follow me upstairs, and I'll give you a quick overview of how the product works. Welcome to Kings Canyon. I'm going to show you a little bit of the Solatube technology and the importance of light and how we perceive a space. So come on into the dark room, and we'll reveal it in an interesting way. So traditionally, when we think of bringing light in from a skylight, we always think about putting a skylight in the center of the room and saying the room is day lit. It's just as if we would take a light fixture and put it in the center of the room and say the space is going to be really well lit with electric light. It doesn't quite work that way because it affects how we perceive a space. So let me just kind of show you what that effect would be. With Solatube products, we can actually dim them. So you can incorporate optical dimmers to raise and lower light levels as you see fit. So what I've just done is I've actually raised the ambient light in the space to create an ambient layer to light it. But notice that the walls are not fully illuminated. So what we want to do is start to play with the layers of lighting to create different visual effects and to drive how we interact with the architecture around us. I'm going to add some key light to actually light the table. So did you notice how the table just became brighter? And so now we created a very comfortable space for a conversation, but the walls are still a little bit dark. And what's really interesting is that daylight is the most important light source to our bodies. It drives how we function over the course of the day. It actually determines when and how we produce specific neurotransmitters and hormones that allow us to function. Daylight is unique. Electric light will not do the same thing or have the same effect because electric light is static. We have the same consistent distribution or characteristics of light over the course of the day for every hour that the lights are on. Whereas daylight, as we know, is dynamic. It's constantly rising and falling in intensity and the spectral content. So whether it's perceived as warm or cool or somewhere in between is constantly varying. Our brains are designed to pick that up, and our circadian system actually registers that information, and that drives hormone and neurotransmitter production. That's the physiology side of things. The psychology side is that the fact that we desire or crave views to the outside or a view to the horizon. So with the Solatube products, we can actually elicit that same effect by lighting the walls. So here we have a light slot around the room where we can actually brighten the walls independently from the ambient light in the center of the room. More importantly, watch what happens. So I just raised the light level at the front of the conference room. Watch what happens when I now brighten the walls. And notice that we've now expanded the space. We've made it feel broader, wider, more comfortable, but most importantly, we have given our brains a sense that we see the horizon. So we're going to be happier and more accepting of being in this space. I'd like to show you a space that is about the same size as a home office. This is basically a typical bedroom size. It is 12 feet by 12 feet. The ceiling is a little bit higher at about 9 feet. But we're lighting it with a single Solatube product, which is kind of amazing. And with this OptiView lens, one of our proprietary technologies, we can actually fully cast light up on the walls. So if this is your home office, you can see the quality of light, lighting the walls, lighting the desktop, and have a really comfortable space with the quality light of daylight that's going to drive your circadian system and health.
Excellent. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. We did receive one question. So the question was, what sort of energy savings could we see? Well, what's kind of interesting here at Solatube, when we applied the Solatube daylighting product, so the building, when we first built it, we didn't have the commercial range of products or the products that you see today. And so those were applied to the building about 2 years after construction was finished. And we went from an electrically lit office to a fully day-lit office literally over the span of about 1 week. And we instantaneously reduced the lighting energy load of the building by about 75%. Because again, while our electric lights are on only 3% of the year, actually I should say, we reduced our electrical energy consumption by over 75%, and our site-wide energy consumption by over 27%. So the energy savings are huge when we turn off electric lights. Okay, so with that, let's talk a little bit about the residential application. So we're going to show you the inspirational video, and then Joshua Riley, our director of Solatube Home, will introduce you to the Solatube Home unit and how that works, and talk about installation showcases as well. So with that, I'd like to show you the inspiration video.
The best things in life are revealed in natural light. So how can you bring the outside in? With technologies that grab sunlight all day long from virtually any angle. By guiding that light through tubes made of the world's most reflective material. And by delivering that light beautifully into your home to brighten dark spaces and shed light on the things and people you love most. We call this Solatube daylighting. You'll call it brilliant. Learn how our simple 2-hour installation can instantly beautify your home. Contact us now to schedule a free design consultation.
So that's just a quick example of how we go to market to the residential marketplace, and one of our promotional videos that you may perhaps have seen. But from the residential side, so commercially, we obviously work with the architects and the building owners to get daylighting design into their buildings and to offer the best solution we can for whatever it is that they require. And then from the residential side, we go to business a little bit differently. So through Solatube Home is our entity that provides consultative support to the homeowner. So it's a very different process, and this is providing a one-stop installed solution for the homeowner. So with that, let's introduce Joshua Rowe.
Hi everybody, I'm Josh Riley, Director of Solatube Home. We're the company store for Solatube International. We service San Diego, Orange County, and LA. And we actually specialize in bringing the Solatube products to the residential market in the Southern California region. Today we're going to show you how you can apply Solatube products to the home. So I'm going to hand it off to Ian Campbell, and he's going to take you for a tour through our showroom.
Hello, I'm Ian Campbell with Solatube Home. Welcome to our interactive residential showroom. Follow me, I'd love to show you all the great products we help with our homeowners here in San Diego. First, coming into the showroom, we have each product on display that we offer for all of our residential properties. And one of the first ones I'd love to highlight for you are our 14-inch square Solatubes. It's the biggest and brightest daylighting device that we offer for homes. It's an amazing way to add a lot of natural daylight into a single room with one small obtrusion into your room. And if you follow me this way, we have multiple vignettes in our showroom to show off the Solatubes and all the great accessories we can use to customize them for our homes. With a lot of us spending a lot more time in our homes now, we found that we all would like more natural daylight, but sometimes rooms we don't always want to be bright or always want to be dark. So we've incorporated a new solar-powered daylight dimmer that allows you to shut off the daylight in the Solatube when you want the room to be dark, as well as allow you to control just how much daylight comes into the room when you're ready to be light. Not to mention, being that this accessory is solar powered, as you'll see in a lot of the themes of our products, it allows it to qualify for a federal energy tax credit. So that's been a huge savings for our customers in the theme of adding energy efficiency to all of our products. The next vignette we have here, it shows off the classic 10-inch round Solatube, the Solatube that we use for smaller spaces. And one of the accessories I wanted to highlight here is going to be the ventilation add-on kit and light add-on kit we have in the background. We actually commonly call this package our bathroom package. It's a great way to help bring natural daylight into a small bathroom without adding a lot of clutter to the ceiling by keeping the vent and light all packaged inside the Solatube. So again, for even the smallest bathrooms, a great way to improve the natural daylight and bring all these accessories into one piece. The last vignette here I'd like to show off for us highlights our low profile or architectural series dome. It's a new flat dome design that promotes the aesthetic value of your roof in case the Solatube is going to be coming out on the front of your property. But it also helps us maintain regulations for our HOAs. It's common that HOAs regulate how much you can protrude above your roof. And now with this low profile dome, we can pass that regulation while also making your roofs look more aesthetic. And as you can see, they do a great job at maintaining the light delivery. On to the next products here are our brand new, beautiful, triple pane, high performance glass skylights here from Solatube International. And they come in two different styles. We have our solar operable models as well as our fixed models. And we found with the solar operable model, it is an amazing hybrid of sustainable light delivery and sustainable ventilation. It's very common in a lot of our homes that we go into, say, with high vaulted ceilings, with no attic spaces, and not a great way to cool that room. Well, if there's a skylight there, why don't we change their fixed skylight over into an operable model to allow beautiful daylight to come in and the heat to be released. Again, it's also solar powered, so a lot of our other products, this will qualify for the federal energy tax credit. Lastly, over here, I wanted to kind of show off our big screen interactive display. This is one of our customers' favorites coming into the showroom here, being able to walk through every product, every option. We have great galleries showing off our before and after pictures of a lot of our amazing installations. You can dive as deep into the product details if you like. We have some great videos as well. And anytime you'd like to come and visit, you can take control and walk through this program as much as you'd like. And before I let you guys leave the showroom, I know I've highlighted a lot of our sustainable ways to deliver daylight in the home, but remember, we also focus on energy efficiency when it comes to ventilation for homes. One of the products we have here is our solar-powered attic fans, an amazing way with pure solar power to help cool down an attic space, which can help maintain a lower temperature in the home, or even support existing AC systems to want to boost the performance of the system and reduce the electricity cost. But keep in mind, we don't just do the solar-powered attic fans. We also offer whole house fans as a total home cooling solution. Very low energy use, very quiet and pleasant experience in the home. And when coupled with these solar-powered attic fans, can help cool the house during the course of the day, and the whole house fan can help cool down the house in the course of the night. But thank you so much for joining me in the Solatube residential showroom. We're open Monday to Fridays, 8 to 5. I'd love to meet you in person. Please come on down.
Outstanding. Thank you, Josh and Ian. All right, so let's see some before and afters. So new kitchen, obviously hallways, closets, small rooms, showers. I have to say I shower in radiant daylight every morning. It's always nice. So that is a quick overview of Solatube Home and some of the options that are available there. Now I'd like to also introduce all of you to just kind of the manufacturing process. Solatube is committed to environmentally sensitive manufacturing. So we are actually a lean manufacturing just-in-time production facility. So there we go. Thank you, Linda. So why lean manufacturing? Well, lean manufacturing means that we have optimized efficiencies for raw material flow in, as well as the processing of materials throughout the facility, how we are able to minimize effort and strain on our production team, and then maximize the efficiency through which we can get product out and shipped out of the building. So obviously key benefits are improved quality and more timely delivery. We can also significantly improve satisfaction for customers and the workforce. We certainly save money with the process, which we pass on to the end user. And it also allows us to greatly reduce our required inventory. So through all this, we're in a continuous stream of continuous improvement. So we're constantly evaluating processes and materials and refining the process. So Solatube is a really dynamic company, and it's actually a fun place to work. So what we do also from a sustainable manufacturing process is that all of our materials are handled as efficiently as possible. So besides having a constant flow of raw materials coming in as part of the lean manufacturing process, all waste materials actually, first of all, we design everything to minimize waste. We actually, when we have products that are shipping between our facilities, we have rigid multi-use shipping containers that are constantly in flow, so we don't have packaging that gets discarded and goes into the environment. We also take any scrap material that is produced in the manufacturing process, whether it's plastics or metals or any other types of components. those get fully reground and go back into the production process. So they go to their next stage of life. So the nice thing is in the manufacturing process, what you're going to see is that there's virtually no waste. Everything is retained and reused in another way. So again, trying to stay as sustainable as possible. So very quick video here, just showing our shipping and receiving area. So our product, when we talk about lean processes, we have cut our lead time down to just a matter of days. So when you see the warehouse of materials behind me, realize that those materials will probably ship within the next week. So we're in a constant flow, minimizing the need for warehouse space, which is nice. And then also it means that we can ship products literally within probably 24 hours from a point of time that an order comes in, which is pretty unheard of in the architectural product arena. So Linda, let's take a quick look. In all daylight. And you can see the Skyvault units there in the foreground.
Welcome to Shipping and Receiving. So Solatube is a global company. We are in 122 countries today. So product that goes around the world is coming from this exact spot. So what I wanted to show you is the way that we can use larger Solatube products to create really wonderful warehouse environments as well. So as you notice, we have a range of product sizes going from our 21-inch Solamaster units that are lighting the floor over by the shipping and receiving doors, also lighting the walls. We talked about the importance of keeping the walls light and bright. We also then, in the center of the space, have our Skyvault units. Those are the big units that we saw in the entryway that are standing in the corner. That unit, or those two units, are what are actually lighting all of shipping and receiving. All the smaller units are there just for visual effect, to make us feel happy, comfortable, and connected with the building.
Excellent. Okay, so now we'll end with a manufacturing tour, and you'll learn a little bit more about the manufacturing process. So we have invented the processes that we use today. Basically, all the equipment that you're going to see was custom designed by Solatube International staff. We also manufacture or produce all of our own tools. We have our own tool and die entity here within Solatube that maintains all of the tools and dies as well as the machines for production. And again, it's a pretty interesting process. So I'd like to introduce you to that.
Solatube International Incorporated is the original innovator and worldwide leader in tubular daylighting devices. For more than 20 years, we've developed breakthrough optical technologies that have delivered the highest quality natural light to Fortune 100 companies and other major entities in the global commercial market. At our U.S. production facility in Vista, California, our innovative approach to daylighting carries into our manufacturing process as well. Here, we produce our full line of Solatube daylighting systems using highly efficient, lean manufacturing strategies. Our in-house design and engineering team utilizes the latest technologies and superior materials to create the most advanced tubular daylighting devices on the market. It's this manufacturing precision and focus on quality control that ensures every Solatube daylighting system delivers exceptional performance year after year. Let's watch how it's made. Durable, high-impact Solatube domes are either injection molded or vacuum formed in the U.S. using specially formulated acrylics or polycarbonate materials. Some of our domes feature patented collector technology called Ray Bender, which maximizes light capture and provides consistent daylighting from dawn until dusk. Another collection technology we use is Light Tracker. This proprietary reflector produces greater light output by redirecting hard-to-catch, low-angle light into the system. Our domes, along with our advanced optical technologies, allow us to optimize light capture while controlling solar heat gain and blocking ultraviolet light. To attach our domes to a rooftop, a flashing or curb cap is used. To make a flashing, we start with a flat sheet of aluminized steel. It's placed into a large, deep draw hydraulic press, which can supply up to 250 tons of pressure. The press creates a turret in the center of the sheet called the draw. This process enables us to produce a one-piece, seamless flashing that is leak-proof and durable. Some of our products are secured to the roof using a curb cap made of a corrosive-resistant material. A turret punch machine cuts out the curb pattern to ensure each part is precisely the same size and shape. A press brake then bends each of the four sides to form the curb cap. Lastly, corner brackets are attached for reinforcement. Next, it's time to produce the tubes that transfer daylight from the rooftop to the building interior. We manufacture our own proprietary tubing by processing and curing a specially formulated optical surface to an aluminum substrate. Known as Spectralite Infinity, it's the world's most reflective material, which makes it extremely effective at transferring daylight. To create consistent tube diameters for our different product lines, the Spectralite Infinity material is fed from a spool into the slitting machine. Here, the edges are trimmed and the sheet is cut into standard widths. Next, the material travels through the cut-to-length machine. The sheet is cut into individual segments. Each segment is also printed with relevant information, such as the lot and part number, as well as the manufacturing date and time. Lastly, the material is rolled into a cylindrical shape to form a tube. The tube rolls are then sent to the finishing line. At this station, the edges are riveted together. The tube is then placed into an elbow machine and converted into an angle adapter that can be adjusted during installation. The last step of the process is creating the unique lenses that diffuse the light delivered by our Solatube daylighting systems. The optically advanced diffuser material is cut, sealed to the frame, and cured to ensure a strong bond. Over the last 2 decades, our commitment to quality has driven us to manufacture highly consistent, quality parts at a low cost that we use to produce the most innovative tubular daylighting devices on the market. We've accomplished this by investing in highly skilled labor, using high-grade materials and custom tooling, and applying lean production techniques to continually improve our proprietary manufacturing process. We'll continue to innovate because we believe everyone deserves to experience the benefits of natural light. That's why designing and manufacturing high-performance daylighting systems is more than our job, it's our passion.
All right, hopefully that was informative. So with that, I would actually like to invite Joshua Riley and Tim Deming, as well as Linda Spector, to a panel discussion just to answer any questions. So if you're available, that would be great. And then we'll answer, we have a few questions that have come in through the chat box. So Josh, we have a question here. What kind of energy tax credits are available to the homeowner? And how do you go about acquiring those?
Absolutely. So for our daylighting systems, we have a version of the product that qualifies for a 26% federal tax credit. So that is a tax credit for both the cost of the product as well as the cost to install the product. So you can get a tax credit anywhere from about $200 to about $290 on each system.
Excellent. And then also, Josh, there's a question here on what do we do when we need light 24/7? So what do we do at nighttime? And what can we do for night, darker conditions?
Absolutely. So we have many accessories that come with the product, right? So the daylighting system obviously works throughout the day very effectively, but we have the ability to add an electric light kit inside. So oftentimes, can lights in a home are placed in the most optimum position for light distribution. And oftentimes in those installations, we'll take the place of the can light and add in a light fixture within the Solatube daylighting system itself. So you'll have the daylight coming through the tube throughout the day, and then you'll have a switched light available at your convenience for the nighttime.
And then what about when we want a night light? What are the options there?
So interesting that you should ask, Neil. We actually have an accessory called our solar electric nightlight. So that sits at the bottom of the tube within the inside of the tube, and it charges some batteries throughout the day as the sun comes down through the tube. And then at night, it actually has a light sensor, so it can see when the sun's going down. It'll automatically turn on this very soft LED light inside the tube. It's not enough to read a book under, but it's definitely enough if you have one of these in your kitchen to walk down the hallway, enter the kitchen, and pour yourself a glass of water or something like that of an evening without having to turn on the lights. If I could describe it, it's more like a moon glow than anything.
It is.
So we've got sunlight during the day and moon glow of an evening.
It is very much like moonlight. You're right. And it is nice that they definitely help ease transition through the house because, again, you have low levels of illumination all the time, which is very beneficial. And then again, talking about the need for spectral content, we do try to reinforce the body's desire for different wavelengths at night than we have during the day as well. So the nice thing is that night light, again, does not require anything to be wired to the Solatube, so it doesn't require rewiring in the house in a retrofit application, which is very handy. Great.
Indeed.
Okay. So I'm just looking to see if there are any more questions. If you have any questions for us today, please go ahead and either unmute yourself and chime in, or send something in the chat window.
Neil, one of the questions I asked was, can you replace old skylights in homes with the Solatube?
Outstanding question. Josh?
Yes. So typically, we would not be replacing a traditional skylight with a tube. It is possible, but it would require roof work and some drywall work at the ceiling. But we also provide a skylight replacement service also. So I'm not sure if you guys saw the video earlier. There's some skylights on display within the showroom, and we have a few different options there so that we can replace old leaking skylights with something nice, beautiful. And we even have versions of the product that open up, and they're solar powered, which also qualify for a 26% federal tax credit. So you can get a nice new skylight to replace your old skylight. And you also have an option of being able to open it so you can get some fresh air inside the house through the skylight as well.
All solar powered.
All solar powered and at your fingertips through the working of a remote that we can place on the wall if that's what you would like. The other thing that's available with the solar operable skylight is there's a rain sensor. So it sits on the outside of the skylight, so you can have it open whenever you'd like, and if it senses it's getting, there's some moisture outside, some rain, it'll automatically close. So you don't have to worry about any water coming in through the skylight.
Outstanding.
So in a typical home, how many solar tubes do you put in a typical home that's maybe mid-sized?
Mid-sized, well, it depends on how many areas that you have that you'd like to bring daylight into. But we've done as many as 15 in a home and as few as one. But I can, we have some options if you're interested in your home to do a walkthrough, and we can even do it virtually if you want, just like this, to determine how many units you'd need in your home.
Outstanding. Okay, so let's see. I'm not seeing any other new questions that have come through. So one last call. And if there aren't any questions.
Neil, I think that you owe us an explanation of your cool virtual background.
Oh,
yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Okay, all right, very good.
That's what my office looks like.
This is actually our playroom at Solatube International. No, actually, this is actually a fun project. This is actually in Texas. It is an elementary school. And this is actually the new media library space. And so the kids have this fun slide that allows them to slide down from the upper mezzanine level of the school down to the ground floor of the media center. And then all of those beautiful tubes of light behind me are all Solatube products. So much like you saw our daylight chandeliers in our lobby space in the office here in Vista, This is a different application where we have these beautiful acrylic tubes. They're merely suspended below the bottom of the Solatube product itself. And it allows then this ever-changing or different lengths of luminous tube to create a very fun, dynamic environment. Again, all daylight. So there's no electric light on in that space whatsoever. Also, I don't know if you can see the silver tube dropping down from the rooftop. So we actually have a couple different tube diameters of Solatube products being used here to add a little bit of a dynamic visual to the space. And then, as I said, those acrylic tubes themselves are also different lengths as well to create drama as well. Does that answer the question, Marcy? Great. Okay, so gang, thank you so much. Really appreciate all of your time today. Hope you've learned a little bit about Solatube and hopefully a little bit more about daylight and why daylight is so useful. And with that, we'll continue on the tour.
Well, thank you so much.
Can I ask one more question? Can I ask one more question, Neil?
Absolutely.
Is there any way that you can get to our government to let them know that we don't need to switch the clocks back, that you're actually successful with Solatube?
I like that idea. We will have to see what we can do there. Absolutely. No, it's actually kind of funny. One of the questions that came in during the videos is what happens during the winter months. And the reality is we have so much daylight and robust daylight that we can function pretty much throughout the entire day. And it's not unless we're in a really, really dark hour, like right now, you know, middle of winter, and at 5 p.m. or whatever, and the sun is definitely waning, that we feel the need to turn on electric lights. But oftentimes, people walk past my office and they'll say, Neil, you're sitting in the dark. It's like, well, I hadn't even noticed. But anyway, it's pretty amazing. Works well. Thank you. Okay. So, Kathy, back to you.
Oh, thank you so much. That was awesome. And if any of you ever come into the chamber office, please make sure that you ask to see our Solatubes in the office. We have amazing Solatubes throughout, including the conference rooms. And I never turn on my lights at work. It's awesome. So thank you. Thank you for the great presentation. And with that, I would like to turn over the presentation now to Lori Summers from Waste Management. Lori, welcome.
Great, thank you. Thank you all for having me. It's been a while, so I'm glad to see all the nice faces. So our tour today for our MRF, what we call it, it's a material recovery facility. It's up in Orange, so actually doing this virtually really worked out because, you know, we're saving all those emissions from actually driving up to Orange. So we're being green today. So anyway, in my position with Waste Management, I am the Community and Municipal Relations Manager. And what that means is I'm the liaison for our company to the different jurisdictions that we service and do outreach and education. So Waste Management, as you know, it's a nationwide company. Here we've got a facility in Carlsbad where we have our collection trucks. We do our wide variety of services, you know, the waste, the recycling, organics. We have a buyback center. We also have an arm of our company that handles household hazardous waste, also electronics. So our goal with Waste Management really is to use, is to process all materials to their highest use. You know, waste, as we see it, is a resource. We don't want that stuff going to the landfill. So anyway, you'll see in this tour when we began, we were a little bit lower tech. I used my cell phone, but it really worked out. The sound was a little sketchy, so I'll be doing most of the dubbing of it. So a materials recovery facility, just to start off with, is a facility where the recycling comes in, the inbound recycling. Single stream, what we call it, is because it's all the materials coming together. So you've got cardboard, paper, bottles, and cans, they're all mixed together. So the reason the industry kind of went to that is the ease to the customer, because the thought is that the regular consumer, resident businesses would be more apt to recycle when it's easy to do. So instead of source separating like it used to be in the olden days, where you would have 3 different crates, where you had one for the bottles, one for cans, and then one for paper, now you're putting it all together, and it's coming to a facility like this MRF is what we call it for short. And we process it, we sort it by material types, and we get it ready for shipping to go to its end destination, whether that be a domestic market or overseas. So before I have Marcy start the video, and she was so nice to help me out with this. This MRF, it's in Orange. It opened in 2012, and it's capable of processing up to 1,200 tons per day. On average, though, we probably process through there about 600 tons per day. And this is residential and commercial single stream recycling. That material is your, like I said, more of a cans, bottles, paper, cardboard. This facility does not recycle some of the industrial type things like scrap metals and auto parts and that kind of stuff. There's other facilities that may take care of that. We're doing the single stream here. So we bring up to there from the cities that we serve, and where we serve in the North County is Carlsbad, Del Mar, and Oceanside. And then this facility also takes and handles all the material from the Orange County cities. So that's why we invested in one facility, Southern California. We've got another one in Azusa, and because they can cost, quite a bit of money. So we don't have one in each city, of course, that we tour. So you'll see the recycling materials come in, and also some of the prohibitive materials. And we'll talk about that during the tour of what actually goes into the recycling and what should be going, staying out. A MRF really is to process recycling. And so we want to kind of avoid as much contamination or non-recyclables coming into the facility as much as possible. You'll see it travel through sort lines and machineries. We have to sort it all by type. So if you think of all those different plastics, all the aluminum, everything together, it's going to go through the process. And we use different methods of separating. We do use manual labor, but we also have eddy currents and magnets and optical scanners, which are pretty cool. And then our different screens that kind of take large pieces, and as it moves forward, smaller pieces drop down, and then into another screen and smaller pieces drop down. So you'll see that. I'll answer questions at the end if you don't mind. And Marcy, with that, if you could go ahead and start the video.
Okay. Can you see my screen, everybody? Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we cut out some of the video because it was so noisy, but basically here I am with all my protective gear before we start the tour. I've got my hard hat, of course, the the glasses, and the vest.
Recyclable. Some of the things in this car are not recyclable. For instance, like the carpet right here, that's not recyclable. Some of the mattresses that you see right here, some of the water hoses that you see, or even some of these air tanks that come into the system. These are items that we're going to have to sweep up. These are recyclable lines up there and pull them from our line.
Yeah, that's Ricardo, our recycling supervisor up there, our MRF supervisor. So he was pointing out all the things that actually come into the facility when it is dropped off by the truck. What you're seeing now is they're scooping up the recycling, and it's going through this drum feeder. And what this drum feeder does is it kind of separates all the material. You can kind of see how it's got the air there. It's got to do that so that it will be loosened and not clumped as it goes on its way up to the sort line. And this is the first sort line where it's starting its journey. And here he's continuing to put it in. And I notice in here, if you can, there are some, looks like some rubber hoses or wires and stuff like that. That's actually one of the things that, one of our most common things that come in that shouldn't come in. And those types of things actually get, if you can just stop for a minute, Marcy, some of those tanglers get caught up in the machinery. And so we sometimes have to even shut down the facility to kind of clean those drums out because it gets caught up. So thank you. And then this is hand sorting here. So this is the first look of what we're seeing when it comes off that sort line. So you have about 8 sorters here. They're pulling out the plastic bags, any of the contaminants that we see that don't go in there before it goes up to some of our screens. So, I mean, it goes pretty fast. You can see how fast they work. And as they're tossing, there's actually some bunkers down below that material is dropping down into. So they're just not throwing it behind their back there. So yeah, so they're pulling out things that don't belong here or some of the larger items that might get caught up as it moves down the line. So this material now is going to the first screen. And what we have by a screen is that some of the larger items will come and it will take the larger items forward, and then they've got the holes and stuff. So anything that's smaller then will drop down there. So here they're going to be removing some of the large items and sorting out the non-recyclables as well. So here this is where the paper now is being kind of blown up. So the paper will move forward and go up, and the other heavier, smaller items will drop down to the next conveyor. Of course, you always get paper. So these screens, you have to figure that, you know, I'm trying to remember how many tons per hour that that our facility runs. So, but as you can see, it's pretty fast. So that's why it goes through several screeners and then manual. So here's the paper line afterwards. There's still a few things here and there. And so that's why you see sorters after the paper's been screened and they're doing an additional sort before that paper goes into processing. So they're dropping the stuff in the bunker, as you can see the things there. So here's a long line, and it all sometimes looks like it's the same materials. Probably 60 to 70% of what we pull out of our recycling MRFs are paper and cardboard. So it looks like a lot of paper. This is still a paper sort here. They're pulling out, trying to think, cardboard. Now this is where, as soon as we get here, we're gonna slow it down right here or pause it, Marcy. Mm-hmm. This is actual optical scanner. This is one of the tools that we use, and you can see that beam of light. So what it's doing is we have this one set to read plastic containers, the PET, like the water bottles and the soda bottles. So as that material is going over that sort line, it's reading that. And if it reads that it's a PET bottle, it's taking air and it's pushing it to the back, and it's going to drop to another sort line. So anything else that's on that line is going to drop forward. So that poof of air is going to push the plastic to a sort line. The other stuff there gets dropped down to another sort line, then it's going to go through an additional sort. We have about 2 or 3 of these optical scanners that, that we can program to sort different materials. You can kind of see how it kind of blows there. Again, it's a noisy place. We took the sound down because it was so noisy. Here, this is afterwards, they're pulling out anything that might have gone through because we want just those bottles, the PET containers here. Here they're tossing the different plastics that they want to do. So this one's for the aluminum, and this one we use an eddy current or a magnet. So what it's doing is it's pulling the aluminum, the magnet's pulling the aluminum, and with the same thing, kind of like the PET bottles, the aluminum is being pulled to the back of the drum there, and then the rest of the material drops straight down. So it's actually going to 2 separate sort lines. So the aluminum will be coming out here, one person here to take out anything that might have dropped with it. And yes, Simon, we do recycle the glass as well. So here, this is a where the cardboard comes in. And again, we get a lot of cardboard. It came down where it's been screened. This is just cardboard, but you'll see there's a few things in that line still. You've got sorters who are pulling that out because when it comes from here, it's going to go straight to our baler, which is going to get it ready for shipping. And here's the clean cardboard going up to the baler. So you can see from where it started with all the papers, bottles, and cans that were with it, it's pretty clean. So over in this area where Ricardo is taking us, this is where we kind of what we call dressing bales. It's gone through the baler, it's put it into those cubes. Each one of these bales for cardboard probably weighs about 2,000 pounds. They're about a ton each. But since the markets are very strict on the amount of contaminants that are there, we actually go around the bales, and if there's anything on the outside of the bales that looks like it does not belong, we are taking it out. So you can see on the floor there was lots of material. So here's bales all ready to be shipped. Again, they weigh about a ton each, and each shipment can hold about 20 of those bales. And here is some colored plastic, and these are things like your milk jugs, your shampoo bottles, your detergents, anything that's kind of the colored plastic. It's number 2. We've got bimetal cans and tin cans, things like your soup, your vegetable cans, your pet cans. That has all been baled. And we're going to turn the corner here. And here's our inventory of bales to go out. So we also have the clear plastic, which is that number 1 that you can see. Those are all your juice. Now this one has some mixed plastic in it. We don't take a lot of these plastic materials, things that might go through like a plastic pail or something. But whenever markets do open up and we have some material, we can ship it. So now the bales are going into a trailer, and what this trailer will do is we'll fill it up. The paper or fibers are sold overseas, That's where the market mostly is. Bottles and cans stay domestic, and a lot of the buyers that we have are actually in California. So I know that's quick. It's a large facility, and we just don't want to, you know, like look at the sort line for a super long time. So I know that there were questions that came in, and this is actually a good way for me to share and answer questions instead of me talking. So should I just go
Lori,
on?
do you want me to read the questions to you?
That would be wonderful. Yes, thank you, Kathy.
Okay. Let's see, we'll start with Lori. I took a tour of the sorting facility in San Marcos or Vista. Is that your facility or the one in Carlsbad?
There's one in San Marcos. It is with a competitor, but it works about the same way, Rosemary. And it's a materials recovery facility. The place that our facility here in Carlsbad, where our collection is actually the transfer station, and that is owned and operated by Republic Services. And what that is where you're actually taking your trash or your waste that ends up going to the landfill. We actually share a property for them where we house our collection vehicles, but the actual transfer station is owned and operated by another company.
All right, next question. I've heard if you put recyclables in a kitchen trash bag and put it in the can, it won't get separated and recycled. The whole bag gets thrown out. Is this true?
So I'll start with this. When we receive plastic bags, first of all, most of the time we can't see what's in that plastic bag. So we don't know if it's recycling in there or if there's other contaminants in there. Secondly, back in 2017, I think we've talked about this before, the whole China sword, where the recycling markets have gotten very stringent on the types of plastics and paper and materials that they'll accept. So we've had to do a lot more cleaning. So yes, plastic bags is an actual contaminant for us. We pull those out. So if you think that all that hard work that you're doing with the recycling is in a plastic bag, we actually have to pull it out. As you can see, the sort lines go so fast, there's not a way to break the bags open, slow it down, and pull out any material that might be in it. Plus, that's kind of dangerous for our workers too. We don't want them, you know, opening bags that they don't know what's in there. So yes, we really want all your recycling, but we want it loose and not in plastic bags.
Next question, do you recycle glass containers?
Yes, we do. And I didn't get to that part of the facility. So when you look at the smaller screens that we do, those glass bottles break down, and we actually I don't think we do at this facility. I think this one all prepares mixed glass, but we can screen it for different colors of glasses, the brown, the green, the clear. But at this particular facility, it kind of gets crushed, and then it goes to, I think that stays domestically, and then they use that a lot for even like asphalt and different things like that.
All right, next question. Who is accepting our recycles overseas? Do we have composting yet in North County?
I think our biggest markets for fiber has been Vietnam, Singapore, but mostly the Asian countries. Now we do have our Ricardo and then Saul, who's the MRF manager. I mean, that is one of their duties, is they are checking commodity markets all the time. And when there is availability, and depending also on the revenue or the, you know, what they'll pay for it, we ship to different markets all the time. So it's always changing. And composting yet North County, it's coming. I know we talk about all of that all the time. but the composting is. In Carlsbad, though, the city of Carlsbad and Republic Services have worked with a company called Agroman in Oceanside. And so at least in Carlsbad right now, all of the green waste, not the food waste yet, but all the green waste is going as composting. You'll probably see within the next year or so that the food waste will also be collected and processed. So that'd be more diversion.
Next question. I typically rinse containers before putting them in the recycle bin. Is that necessary?
I'll say yes and no. So part of our simple message, I guess, that we want to get out to everyone, because, you know, we used to have this laundry list of like, here's the 20 or 30 things, yes, you can put in, here's the 20 or things that you can't. And people would still get confused of what do you put in your recycling. So what we tell them is to recycle all clean bottles, cans, paper, and cardboard, and no liquids, and keep your material dry. So I'll stop right there so it will answer that question. You don't want a lot of residue in the containers. So if you have peanut butter in there, scrape whatever peanut butter's in there. Hopefully you're eating it all, so you have no food waste. Same thing with mayonnaise or whatever. If you have any liquids left in whatever jar or whatever, yes, pour them out. Rinsing, that's kind of up to you. I always think is that if you're putting it in your cart, or if you're a business, you're putting it in your bin, less attraction for the ants and any kind of other critters that you might get. But it doesn't have to be super clean. Now this is for the bottles mostly, because when the process goes through, or you're taking a bottle, it's actually going through a cleaning method before it is crushed and melted down to make into a new product. So I would say maybe lightly rinse, just kind of keep it clean. That would do it.
So next one is, so researching recycling, I have found that although there are progressive plastic bag policies in California, they still are a big hindrance to the waste management machinery. Do you think, or would waste management be opening to making the store drop-off system more commercial, more well-known for said plastic bags?
Okay, let me read that question because I didn't understand it. The facilities that we run, we're more of a residential and a commercial collection, and then when it's going to the MRF. So what we're looking at is the materials that you recycle from home. The plastic bags, it really still is better if you can drop them off to grocery stores. Some of them still will take that, because what they do is they're taking just those plastic bags and being able to recycle them. When you put them through our program, it's a curbside program. It's a mixed recycling. You saw all the machinery. All it does is kind of eat it up. So at least at this facility, we're not taking them. I think there are others out there that are not a hauler like ourselves. There are other recyclers that do take that material and recycle it. So we kind of leave that to them.
All right, one last question. What percentage of recycles go to waste management from households and business are actually recycled rather than thrown away because of poor habits?
Great, thank you, Rosemary, for that question, because that was something that I wanted to touch upon. Back in 2017, when this China sword came in, we were finding when we had to start really cleaning it up, we were finding non-recyclables, things that we couldn't sell for recycling. It was up around 25%. So what we do working with our cities is doing a lot of education of what goes in, what doesn't go in, what are the best habits to do, what are the tips to go in. And for this MRF here, we recycle about 85% now all materials that go through. And there's only about 15% that go to the landfills. And it's always a work in progress. One of the things that we do for education, we do guides, of course, residential guides, commercial guides. We do some tagging for businesses if it's really, really, we're seeing a lot of contamination there. We'll give them notices like, hey, please, remove this. If it's too contaminated, meaning if it's like 30% or more, then we're actually tagging that saying we couldn't collect it because it was really not recycling. You don't want to take that bad recycling and put it with the good recycling. We also put in billing inserts. We do everything we can. A couple of years ago, Waste Management has their own recycling website now, and it's called Recycle Often, Recycle Right, and it's RORR.com. And you go there and it gives you tips. It tells you what to put in, what to not put in, but it also gives you resources. So if you're a business and you want some signage for some internal containers, you can download those. We have some videos there on how to start programs. So if you're a multifamily complex or if you're an office building or something like that, then it will give you some tips of how to do the recycling program.
Hey, Lori, I had a question that Kathy skipped. You recycle by pulling, when you first start the line, you pull all the plastic bags out, but then you said later on you are also hand taking things out. What was the second thing you were trying to take out as the line went?
Actually, there's just a lot of things, Carolyn. So besides the plastic bags, we're pulling out, those rubber hoses that for some reason people put in, just anything that is a non-recyclable. And at the very beginning, they're mostly the larger items. We get some really crazy things on our sort lines.
So there is, we really should be more careful of what we're putting in the recycle bins then to help you not have to sort all that.
Yeah, and I think the motto used to, I don't know what it used to be, but now we're saying if when in doubt, leave it out. So that's when we figure the really simple message is if it's a bottle, a can, whether it may be out of plastic or aluminum, if it's paper or cardboard, put it in. If it's if it's not one of those, it probably is not going to, shouldn't go in. Like your plastic pail or, what would they call it now? Wish cycling is like, oh, that's made out of plastic. I'm just going to throw it in because it's made out of plastic. So, prior to our 2017, this China sword that came in, there were some markets, but that it's a lower grade plastic. And now with the economy the way it is, they can't move it. They can't recycle it. So really, if you can't recycle it, it's not recyclable.
So really other plastic things like the pail are not recyclable technically.
No, and some of them might have, and this is always difficult to explain, is that if you have, let's say that plastic pail, you turn it over and it does have a recycling symbol on it, and let's say it's a number 5 or whatever number it might be. Yes, it is a recyclable item, but in the curbside program that we collect, curbside in our commercial, we don't accept that type of plastic. We don't have markets for those. So yes, it can be recycled, but like I said, unless there's a market that we can sell it to somebody to be recycled into a new product, we don't consider it recyclable.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
It's always kind of a hard one to to kind of describe.
Yeah.
Hey, Lori, this is Daryl Reitmeyer. Do you want the caps of the bottles on the plastic bottles or no?
2 rules of thumb. Yeah, yes and no. If you don't put it back on just because you think it needs to come on. I usually don't. I put mine away because you think how small that cap is, and when you saw those screens, we don't necessarily capture all of those. However, if you do put your cap on your plastic bottle and it goes through, it will be recycled because it will be going to that recycler that will pull them off. So if they're loose, don't put them in, but if it's screwed on, it's fine. And I will make a point here because we did have a customer that come into our buyback center. And buyback center is where you come to us and we redeem, you redeem your plastic bottles and aluminum cans to get your California redemption value back. In that instance, though, we do not want the cap on because there could be liquids and everything still in it. And when we're paying a redemption value on that, we need to have it empty. And so we don't accept the caps there. But in your curbside program, if you do put the cap back on, it will be recycled.
Any more questions?
Oh, I see all the plastic forks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, when we get into doing the food waste and the organics recycling, some of the materials that are prohibitive now will be accepted in there. Things that are food soiled paper, those pizza boxes that we tell you, you can put half the pizza box in if it doesn't have any oils or liquids on it and the rest goes in the trash. So some of that will be captured when we are able to start doing the food waste in there. The plastic forks and all the disposable items that are plastic, even though they say compostable, right now the place that it's taken to cannot handle that because it breaks down a lot slower than the other materials in composting.
So Lori, this is Neil. Quick question. What about I think you've already partially answered the question, but food containers. So today we're getting the cardboard boxes for to-go orders, as well as still we get things in the foam. Mm-hmm. I had heard that the foam containers are accepted, but what should we be doing with those?
Well, a lot of companies are moving towards paper or cardboard type to-go containers, or even mm-hmm. some of them made out of the recycled. As long as there's not food residue, oils, that kind of stuff, it can go through and it will be fine. The polystyrene now, which we really, some cities are even trying to ban that material from being there. It can be recycled, except that the material has to be so clean and it has to be sort of separated that in a curbside program, as you can see, there's no way for us to keep it clean in that. And so if you're able to pull it out, I know that there are some MRFs that they can pull it out and put it in a densifier, which is the only way that the buyers will buy it. And still at that point, the amount of what they're paying you for, your processing, your transportation cost a lot more money than what they're paying you for that material. And so it's kind of an economic thing as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So for our schools, the styrofoam trays that we get for our students, we actually stack the trays and send it back to the company, and they upcycle them into other things because we didn't want to use composting containers because they do get contaminated.
Right. And there's lots of materials that can be recycled, and just like you say, they're more of a source separated. You find those markets or those recyclers that deal just with that material. It's not going through a curbside cert line like ours, which we're doing it by volume. We've got so much volume there that we can't just pull out something like that. So, but 85% of what you put out, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good return. Of course, we always aim to go even higher than that. So.
All right, that's awesome, Lori. One last call for questions.
And maybe when everything opens up again, we can show it to you in person. It's pretty cool up front. So
it is very loud. You do need to wear earplugs.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
I personally just had a whole new respect for the people who are working at this facility, because that's a lot of work, and it's messy. And I really, truly, Lori, until I saw those videos, I just didn't have any concept of that. So thank you for bringing us in so we could literally see what's going on, because for most of us, if you're not Lori, it goes in the bin and we're like, see you later. So that was just really helpful to see actually what is happening with our recyclables.
Thank you. And you know, they work in about 2-hour shifts, and then they take a break, because you can see how fast it goes. And I have to tell you just this little short story, just because we have a little bit of time. When I first came to the Oceanside area, we had a very small sort line. It was just for the city of Oceanside. Maybe it was Oceanside and Carlsbad. So anyway, I thought, well, I need to immerse myself. I need to learn how to do this. So of course, we had a very short sort line, and the materials going in, and it's a sort line. And then you would have basically dumpsters on either side of you. So when you're seeing a water bottle, it goes over here. If you're seeing a milk jug, it goes over there. I totally focused, and all you're doing is this all the time, and pulling. It's exhausting. And you're just focused. You have no idea what's going on here, and looks like bottles are flying all over the place. And yeah, I really got humbled when I saw those workers. Great. I think that's it, Kathy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for coming. I do thank Solatube and also thank Waste Management for these awesome tours today. Please check out their websites. I know once everything is open, I'm sure they'll be available for even more information and tours. So thank you so much. Also, I want to thank the Green Business Committee for putting this together, for having this be an annual event, because we do learn so much from it. And I want to mention that next month, Tuesday, December 8th at 7:30 a.m., we will have another workshop that we're featuring food waste prevention for commercial kitchens. And I don't know if Marcy or Lori, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, I can. We are Waste Management, the city of Carlsbad are sponsoring this, and the presentation is being done by the Solana Center. And so it's going to give you, it's probably geared more towards restaurants, those larger companies that have cafeterias and cafes. So it just kind of gives you an idea of what you can do to get ready for the food waste recycling. And anyway, I hope you all join us. It'll be very interesting.
And if you know someone that fits in that category, please feel free to invite them, because it is free to attend.
Perfect. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I'm sure they're going to hang on here for a couple minutes if you do have a question that you'd like to ask before you go. But again, thank you so much, and have a wonderful chamber day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, for helping us.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Lori, and thank you, Neil, for great tours.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
This was awesome. Thank you so much. I learned tons and tons. No pun intended there, Lori, but it was really fascinating to see because we recycle a lot, and to see that stuff's actually happening with
it. The recycling doesn't really get recycled. And you know, it does. It's basically the things that aren't recyclable. Those are the things that are not being recycled. But the program works, yes.
That's awesome. Thank you. And Josh and Neil, that was awesome. I love the Solatube. It made me rethink some of our what do you call them? Skylights that were in our house. I'm like, interesting. So thanks. This was awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, for sure.